Broadcasting from Ireland, featuring interviews with some of the biggest names in magic. Welcome to the Deceive Reality Podcast with your hosts, David Peace and Steve Spade.
And we're back. Hey everyone, welcome back to Deceive Reality. My name's David Peace. I'm joined again by Steve Spade. Steve, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you? All good?
Good. Doing good now. And we've a very special guest this week. We've Mr. Neil Henry. Neil, how are you doing?
I'm great, thank you, David. Nice to see you. Thanks for having me on, guys.
No problem. Thanks for being here. So we're going to start the podcast in like the typical cliche way, but maybe talk about for you how you kind of got into magic and that whole area, and maybe then how you transition into becoming the super influencer.
That is such a massive question. I guess. Do you know that magic trick where you throw that where you have an empty paper bag and you click your fingers and it looks like? Do you know that? Have you seen that?
Yeah.
My granddad did that to me. He used to do that every time I saw him, and he lived in America. It was one of my favorite things about going to see him. And that was my first magic thing. Then I kind of got into it. I started learning. I'm talking about 6 or 7. I started learning, and my dad always was anything that I was passionate about. I was music, magic, all these different. I had all these hobbies, and he'd always try and encourage them. He found I was living in a place called Hitchin, a little town called Hitchin in Hertfordshire, and he took me age 6 or something to go and see this magic show. And I don't know who it was. I bet I know who it is now, but I don't remember. Anyway, we did this show. It was a big show in the theatre there, and he got Dad up on the stage, and he helped him out with whatever. And as Dad's going back to his seat, he goes, "Oh, excuse me, sir. Just hold on a sec." And he holds up a watch, and Dad goes, "What? No." He holds up a set of keys, and Dad's, "What? How did?" And he goes over and takes these keys, and then goes back to his seat, sits next to me, and there's Dad staring at these keys with amazement, and the whole audience is going crazy, and he's saying, because they all think he's going, "How did you get my keys?" He's not. He's going, "These aren't my keys." and I realized that, and I shouted out in the audience, "They're not Dad's keys!" like this, and ruined the moment for him. Like the worst audience member could have been. I would have hated myself. But ever since that little moment, that's my first sort of memory of a magic show. But ever since then, I went to there was a stall in Covent Garden, which I then later ended up pranks and magic. I ended up buying that when I was sort of 25 or something with a magician called Lee Hathaway. But that was where I bought I bought bunch of flowers out the sleeve, and I loved that. And there was a guy there. I remember, oh my God, I remember this. It's so powerful, this memory of this guy who was just stood by the stall. It's just a magician. Again, I can't remember who he is, but he had a big coin. It must have been $1, and he did some coin routine ending on the back of my hand up that one, and then he slipped it under my watch, and I'd never seen anything like this before, and I was so amazed. I was like, I need to learn this kind of stuff. And then so then I kind of got deeper into it. I got the Royal Road to Card Magic and Bobo's book, and like they were the only books that I read. I just studied them back. I knew them off by heart. And then when I got 17 and I could drive, I went to my first magic convention, which was actually in Milton Keynes. Terry Seabrook was hosting it. He was so funny, and that was it. And I met this guy who I'd actually met in Davenport. It's this nice, really, really talented close-up magician called Bruce Munton, who I haven't spoken to for years. Bruce, if you're listening, you're awesome. You inspired me so much. But I met him there, and he showed me a few little bits, and I was like, "Oh, this is great, thank you." And I practiced, and I never saw him again until the following Blackpool, which was my first ever Blackpool. Which, by the way, was an amazing Blackpool. The gala show had Kevin James back in the day. Kevin James, Juliana Chen. Juliana Chen, the manipulate. Oh my God, amazing! Yeah. Peter Marvey. You remember what? You know Peter Marvey?
Peter Murphy, yeah.
Yeah, where he did the Superman one where he jumps off and he goes tiny and
he shrinks.
Oh my God. It was yeah, it was just such an amazing gala show. Anyway, I was there on my own. I didn't really know anyone, and I just drove up on my own. I just wanted to see this thing. And in the interval, I was just waiting around, seeing if there's anyone there, and I saw him, and I was like, "Oh my God, Bruce, hi!" And he went, "Hi." He was on his own as well, and he said, "Do you want to see something cool?" And he took a £5 note, and he switched it into a £20 note, and that was the first time I ever saw a bill switch, and I was like, "But that one I now need to learn. That's the one. That's the only one. That's the only one I need to learn." And my God, I practiced that. I got so fast at doing that, and that is, I mean, still to this day, I've created whole routines around that one move. I mean, what an amazing switch! So invisible. So amazing. If you do it right, that is so perfect. And whether it be bills or paper or whatever, it's so smooth. And he taught me that, and I will always be indebted to you, Bruce, if you're listening, for that moment there. That was one of the most pivotal moments in Magic, and for me. And I guess that's. I mean, I don't know. I could keep going. The story just develops. And
just tell us all your key life events.
Yeah, just right up to today. Go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Right. No, but that's really cool. It's those sort of like tricks that you learn that really hook you. That that coin on the hand or a bill switch. That's like that. It's the close-up stuff. Really is the thing that can get you hooked.
Yeah. I mean, I guess something that I've always loved is just like a vehicle. I mean, I'm sure a lot, maybe all of us do this because it is a help in sort of social situations, isn't it? I've never. Do you know what? Thinking about, I was about to say I've never had a problem socially. I don't think I have, but maybe I don't know that until I eliminate magic, and then I might find out that I do have a problem socially. I've always been quite good with social, but I guess once you practice something like magic, practice a little show-offy skill hard enough, something that you're really passionate about, and something that's short and visual and entertaining, and that you can chat about afterwards, like that. Or a little party trick. I mean, that's what it is. That's what we're just like walking bags of party tricks. That's what we are, aren't we? And when you perfect that to a good enough level, it becomes almost intoxicating. The air of excitement that you bring around you to something, and it's something that I've learned a lot of lessons from it as well. Here's a good lesson I've learned that it's taken me a good 30 years to learn. When I was starting out doing magic professionally, so I was an actor. I was doing for 15 years. That was my main job. I was an actor. And when I wasn't working, I would do corporate shows or weddings or stuff like that. And I was basically running the two most precarious jobs side by side. It's like, no wonder I ever got any work at all. And
you really hated money so much.
I just really loved Jeremy Kyle that much. For any Americans watching, that's a daytime TV program that only actors get to watch. So I would do this. I was thinking of a lesson. Oh yeah, the lesson. So back in the day, I would find when a trick goes wrong, or not so much when it goes wrong. I'm talking about when I'm 19, 20, right? And I loved doing gigs because it was a chance for me to show off, right? And I approached it very differently to how I did when I decided to go full-time magic. but in my head, it was just a chance for me just to kind of show people tricks and amaze people. And I was like, oh my God, I can get paid for this. I can get paid for this. and I would, if I'm sure everyone listening who's a magician has had the same thing at a corporate event at Christmas, where you've got the people that are pissed up and they don't give a fuck, and the whole thing's being a bit. Can I swear on this?
Yes, swear all the fuck you want.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you have these the guys that are just there because their company has paid for this thing, and you do something like a watch. So that would be my favorite thing to start with. Would be to start with a watch steal, because I mean it's so immediately like, fuck, this guy knows what he's doing, and I'd steal it, and I'd shove it into an envelope or wrap it up in some paper wrapping paper that I'd be lining my pocket with, and then give it to them as a present later. Anyway, they just weren't having any of it, and I took that. I remember this one time I took this so personally. Like they were like, "No, don't worry about it," and I just, rather than walking away and just saying, "Okay, they don't want it," rather than walking away, I decided, no, he's the guy I've got to get. I've got to win this guy. So, it's so cringy to remember. But there's this 19-year-old me going, "Oh, what about this one? Let me show you this. And you can just see it just gets more and more desperate. This magician just clawing at some sort of glory from it.
Just love me, please.
Exactly. And this guy, you could imagine. I mean, I would have kicked myself if some little weasel had come up to me and that sort of thing has happened a few times back then. And then it dawned, I don't know what happened, but thankfully that didn't last for too long, because I learned the lesson. I think I just realized, when that happened, I was just maybe talking to a friend or something, and I realized, hang on, I'm not booked to fool people or to get, that's not what I'm there for. Why would someone pay money to fool their guests? They're not. They're paying you to entertain them. And that's what made me realize, oh shit, if he doesn't want to be the guy that gets that, it's still my job to entertain him, right? So, and that's what I was clawing at. I have to entertain this guy. And actually, there is a way to entertain him. So how about I change my whole approach to this guy and not be the guy that tries to be the one that's the amazing, supreme magic guy? But what if I fuck everything up? What if I start dropping cards? What if I accidentally spill a drink all over oh no, now he's laughing. And now it's like, and I go, oh shit, now that's why I've been booked. And it sort of helped me develop this personality where I just change from, but the biggest thing in my head, like now when I do a gig, the first, I'll be prepared for all sorts. There'll be people there that want to see a really clever, knuckle busting, wordy card routine. Like my favorite one, by the way, of that is, it's not that knuckle busty, but it's a lovely Michael Close's The Frog Princess. Do you know that trick?
Yeah, so good.
Yeah. It's so beautiful. But if you've got 5 minutes or 10 minutes that you want to sit down with somebody and show them something beautiful, memorable, and so magical, Michael Close's The Frog Princess. I think it's in Workers 8. I think. But,
it's a great routine. Do you remember during the pandemic, Dave, when we were like first starting the podcast, and I showed you how to do the fold, and then I messaged back Dave like a couple hours later, and he'd made like a fucking 100 of them. I was like,
there's actually just frogs everywhere.
There's a great little
plague.
There's a great little edition by Colin Rose. I think Colin Rose made this thing where it's built. I think it's built into a pack of cards. I haven't got it. I just saw it once. It's built into a pack of cards. It's if no one knows what I'm talking about, basically it's an amazingly beautiful card trick, and the hero of this card trick is a playing card that's folded up like an origami frog, and it bounces, right? But that doesn't do it justice. Look at that. But this frog is on the Colin Rose made this pack of cards or something with some sort of a motor or some kind of weird magnet thing inside it that you put the frog on the pack of cards and cover it with the glass and it will start jumping on its own.
Oh, that's classic.
So if you've done the switch before that, you can imagine that.
Killer.
So I'll have that. I'll have something like that, and I'll have like visual things. Maybe people have seen me on social media and they want to see that kind of stuff. But I'll also just have stupid shit, and I'll be ready just to make a dick of myself, because sometimes that is the most entertaining thing. And honestly, if someone wanted to come and entertain me and they just made if they fell over into a face full of food, I mean, that's funny. That I would never stop talking about that, and I would tip them bigger than they could imagine.
I wonder with that as well for you, because you came from like the acting background, where it's like you're willing to like do whatever it takes. That's the entertainment thing. While a lot of people can get into magic and just I'm the mystical dark performer and I'm going to fool you. Well, for you, coming from the actor point of view, that's like it's like entertainer first, and I want to just I can do that sort of stuff.
I think that's definitely got some truth to it, but I think it's kind of deeper than that. I mean, I trained at a place called the Circus Space as a clown for a long time. And the biggest thing about clown, like true clown, is really just living in the moment and just dealing with what you've got in front of you. You know, and we've spent hours and hours and you know, a lifetime of practice in real life doing these routines to people and these tricks to people. Well, what if the best way of doing it in real life is to throw out all your rehearsal? You've rehearsed it, so you know the moves, you know what you're doing, but then when you're there, how about forget, you rehearse it so well that you don't even have to think about it anymore. So now all you have to think about is, who's this? What is this in front of me?
Yeah.
You know, what is this human, and what does it want?
It's almost like an improv comedy kind of feel. Where can you just roll, or can you kind of move with the punches? You know, at the moment, like you said, you've got the routining down. You know what the effect is. You know what you're going to do. But can you dip and move as you're just performing?
Yeah, we've all seen the magician who gets annoyed when the spectator speaks.
Dip and move is good because it's a boxing dance. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, particularly that's a great analogy because it is a boxing dance, because you got that, and then with magic you have that sting. Yeah, I like that a lot. And it's just as entertaining for an audience if you get a black eye as he does.
Yeah, exactly. There's going to be a knockout somewhere.
Just I don't know quite how we got onto that, but that is a really important thing for me in magic. Here's another tip which I haven't thought of. I used to really enjoy finding out how people start. How do you go up to the table? What's the first thing you say? You know, and there are tons of really cheesy ones out there, and I stumbled on this great one. And if you do it with the right amount of charm, it has so many psychological benefits. Try this, right? Go up to the table and go up to the person that looks like the alpha man or alpha lady, okay? That looks like, and go up behind them, okay? And gently put your hand on their chair behind them. So not, I wouldn't necessarily go up and immediately start putting your arm around them, but put it on the chair and don't say to him or her, don't say to them, say to the person opposite them, and around the table, just go, okay, guys, who's in charge? Right. And as soon as you say that, you put all the game on them, right? Everything's off you.
Yeah.
But it's not a pressure game. I don't really know how to explain what I'm saying. When you do this, you'll see the thing that happens. And what it does, it just opens up. It takes the alpha person at the table and immediately makes you them on your side, because you have just got the whole table to bow and present.
Yeah.
And which then opens up, that horrible moment at a table, perhaps if it's a very loud venue, you don't want to shout or whatever, and you just can't. Maybe there are 11 people tables, you know, and it's quite hard to get everyone, and you don't have enough time to get around the whole table in threes. You have to do it all together. Well, if you do that, well, the alpha guy's listening now. You know, the alpha guy will make sure everyone is listening. It's a weird tip, but try it, because I've had a lot of fun with that. You have to do it with charm. You can't do it right. Who's in charge here? You can't do it. Not an aggressive thing. It's a gentle thing where, you know. Yes, I don't. Yeah.
It's good.
As long as everyone agrees who's in charge and they'll get the
No, that's the thing. Is when they don't agree, then you've got so much comedy out of that.
Yeah.
And
No tricks needed.
And you know, and if you can't, then you just say, okay, well, look, for the next 5 minutes, I'm in charge. We're gonna have some fun.
Arm wrestling competition time. Let's go. We'll figure this out.
Yeah.
Because it is that thing. Because a lot of people have the expectation as well when you come up that as the magician, you're going to be the pompous, over the top, taking yourself very seriously type person. And when you can undercut that, I think very quickly when you approach the table, that you're just there to have fun with them and you're not taking it as seriously as well. I think that's a great way to get people.
So important, David. It's so important. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that's twice as important as whatever magic you're doing.
Yeah. It's one thing I like saying is, like, if someone comes up to me afterwards and asking about me, I did my job well. If they're asking about the tricks, it's not so good. I'm like, I want you to ask about me, not about the tricks that I do.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
Well, you know, you have seen performers that are so tight to their script that even if somebody says, "Oh, can I put it back in there?" or "Can do I sign the back or the front or whatever?" that'll throw them so much because they just can't. They can't roll with it. They can't just ad lib or be in the moment. You know.
That's right. That's like Larry David. You know, Larry David with the Curb Your Enthusiasm has got to be my absolute favorite TV show. And now I've not worked on that show, so I know this anecdotally. I've heard people that have worked on the show talk about this, and he doesn't know what he's doing. You know, I mean, sorry, he absolutely knows what he's doing.
What an amateur he is.
He knows exactly.
The guy is saying, "Fuck you, Larry. You haven't a clue."
Yeah. There's not a script, apparently.
Yeah.
There's a script, and sometimes he doesn't know what he's doing on that day. You know, and he'll just, all he'll know is Larry David will have come up with a story or so, and they'll go, right, we're doing this, go. Now, if he had a script, you know, it's going to be much, much harder to start improvising for these actors.
Yeah, absolutely.
I saw an interview the other day. Have you seen The Gentleman, Guy Ritchie's new series?
I just started it, just a couple of episodes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I saw an interview with a couple of the guys on that, and they were saying
the chicken bit was crazy. If you haven't seen it yet, people look out for the chicken bit. Oh, I was like, what the fuck?
Oh my god! You have just begun, Steve. Honestly,
yeah.
But
it's pretty nuts as it is.
yeah. But they were saying that's what Guy Ritchie does. He has there is a script, you know, and he gets there on the first day of rehearsals or shooting, whatever, and says, right, throw scripts away. Don't bother learning it. Don't even look at it. I'll tell you what to do. And then he just gives them the scene and lets them go. And for those people that have learned their scripts, it's extremely difficult because, you know, they've got this vision now in their head and they've practiced in their head how they're doing this. So you're right. You know, when we practice these scripts of these tricks and then we go and do them in real life, it's very difficult to be absolutely open to any sort of shit that might be thrown at you during the day, you know, and it's that's what's magic when you can be open to. I'm not saying that I'm brilliant at it, but I will always strive to be there. It's also, apart from being throwing up these genuinely magic moments, apart from doing that, you are also going to enjoy it so much more. At the end of a show, when you've done a show, when you've been really present, that's when the mental mad magic moments happen. That's when you'll come up with some crazy way to produce something that you've never thought of before. Ideas will come, routines will develop. Oh my God, I never thought of doing it like that. That's so perfect. That happens when you're open to what's happening right now.
Yeah.
And
you have to be off script for that. You have to be.
That's right. Well, I mean, of course, there's going to be little moments and things that you say and you do that takes you from one thing to other, and little crutches that you can go back and lean on. But if you're not wedded to them, and then when you finish the gig, you feel great, but you're buzzing. Oh my God! And the whole drive home, you're going, oh shit! Oh, that happened! Oh my God, that's so funny! I've got to write that down. Also, the other thing is, if you're being filmed by people, these days everything's being filmed and they're tagging you and putting you on social media and stuff like this. If you're being filmed and you're doing different things every time, you're not going to have a million videos out there of you doing exactly the same routine with the same words.
Sure.
But yeah,
it sucks when you end up on the autopilot thing. If you're doing like a table, you have to a gig and there's like 20 tables, and you're trying to be like engaged, and you get to like table 15, and you're like, oh, I'm saying the same thing I said at the last 4 tables. I need to like, it's either just change the order of the tricks I'm doing, or I need to do something just so I have to be consciously here, because you can easily slip into that autopilot.
Sorry, go on. I was going to say my rule of thumb sometimes is like, as soon as they like pick cards, I don't know how that's going to end. That anything can happen between them cards being picked and the end of the routine. Anything.
I love that.
That's there could be it could end up on a card in seeding, or if I realize that they're after picking a force card, it could be that, or it could be anything. So I just try to keep it interesting that way.
A great way to practice, or is it takes some balls, right? This takes some balls, but it's fucking exciting to do, and I encourage anyone listening to do this. So I'm sure everybody listening knows and performs the Omni deck, right? One of the most powerful tricks to do to a layman. And there's a friend of mine who's one of the greatest unsung magicians that I bet not many people have heard of, but my God, he is pure magic. Do you know Daniel Alexander?
No, I don't know him.
He's also one of the loveliest men you'll ever know. I did some magic at his wedding with about 100 other magicians as well. he is so good at real magic. Real magic moments. The trick that can't be explained, right?
Yeah.
Everything he does is that. His sponge ball routine. His sponge ball routine is the trick that can't be explained, and it makes for every single thing that he does to be mind-blowingly memorable. Okay, now he did this. His. I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying this. I'll be slightly cryptic, but when he in the Omni deck. Where the person's holding that there, he wouldn't just go. He doesn't do now. The cards vanish. The cards vanish. I've never heard him say that. He'd hold them in his hand, and he'd basically steer them towards saying glass or perspex, or like name something on the table, something I can pick up. Right? You do what I just did there. They're gonna say glass, right? Mm-hmm. And then you can change it into glass. Thing is, if they don't say glass, then it's your job to use the trick that can't be explained to make that into perfection what they said. Now you can turn that little. Hope that wasn't too cryptic.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, but you can use that example, which is what I learned a lot from watching him perform and from doing gigs with him. And you can make this yourself, and this is what I encourage you to do. At one point, just before the magic happens, whatever the trick is, whether it's mind reading or whether it's some visual thing or some revelation, it doesn't matter what the trick is, just go, right, name anything. and see what happens, right?
Yeah.
I don't care what the trick is. That was their card. You switched it from another one. They're holding they think they're holding a different card, but it's their card in their hand.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of just clicking your fingers and turning it over, say name anything, right? They name a dinosaur. I don't know, a dinosaur. So now, what can you do with that? Maybe imagine if you've done that move well enough, and they really don't believe that's there. You have got the opportunity to create a real invisible miniature dinosaur that's going to melt down and go through their hands. And now they're going to go away. They're not going to say he changed the card in my hand. It was this fucking invisible dinosaur that, and I mean, that wasn't a superb example. You'll also have a lot of fun playing around with that kind of shit. And there we go.
Yeah, you can always jazz it.
It's like that channeling stuff, that channeling that we were doing a lot of before. Who is that?
Yeah. A few people have done it, but there's that thing of like you force some things, then you get them to think of the second letter of it and think of something with that, and you're just playing along in your own head to see how many steps down the road you can get with them and stuff.
But it's so good because you can kind of tell them back their thought process. But anytime you fuck up, you just go, "Oh, 2 of hearts," you're good to, or whatever you peaked or whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever the information.
Right. I mean, you're right, because if they're holding you have got a golden climax right there in their hands, right?
Yeah.
So, which you can go back to that at any point.
Sure.
See how far you can push it, and the more you do it, the better you'll get at it, and the more fun you'll have doing it. It's amazing to do.
You can do so much stuff with, like, I was just thinking about the Omni deck. Let's say you had a banquet table and that thing if you're trying to get them to say glass. But like if they pick up a knife, a fork, or a spoon, you're like, now if you were going to make a toast, what would you need?
Yeah,
cool. Boom, done. Or like cover it with a napkin. Now their hands are covered in a napkin.
That's a magic wand. Touch it against something.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just there's so many things. If you just think about what's around it, a salt shaker, cool. Pour some salt in the back of your hand. Watch now as the salt melts. Just make shit up. Anything works.
Or salt shaker is a good one. I've said this before when they've said like this was not at a table. So I was imagining we were at a table. Imagine I pick up something. They didn't say glass. They said a salt shaker. Now, how I need them to confirm to me without me saying it that salt shaker is made of glass, right? Or at least see-through plastic, right? Yeah. I need them to confirm that. And I can't say anything leading towards that, right? So what is the hardest way? And that's how you should approach it. What's the easiest? What's the hardest way that I could do that with the least amount of words? So the best way to do that, I found at this time, was, he said a salt shaker. I said, okay, cool. And so, and it's, what is it? Full, empty, half full, how full? And they're like, half full. I'm like, how do you know that though? How do you know that? And they're like, well, because I can see in, it's made of glass. Great. So are you sure? Because I was picturing a metal one, but you want a glass one. Yeah, glass. Oh, now they think I fucked up. I wanted a metal one. You know?
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
And reframing as well. The reframing is really strong because, like you said, they'll believe that they made that decision.
We now just need a hollow Omni deck that's full of salt that they're holding. You can force it, and you force the level of how full it is.
And then you vanish the salt. So hold on. I'm calling Rocco. Hey, Rocco.
Fuck your spider.
Yeah. You've just got like an index of Omni deck, all sorts of different things. Omni deck with apricot jam. Taste jam. It's not strawberries.
Taste it. Go up with some cool stuff. I love that sort of thing as well. Of like having your openers, having your closers, but not really just letting the world kind of guide and what the people are like. Oh, they're into sports, so I'll do something involving sports. Oh, they're into movies, I'll do something involving movies, rather than just sticking with the same thing for every group. And that sort of stuff. I really think living in the moment at gigs is so important.
Yeah, it occurs to me, you're right. It's everything. Like, I'm a dad, I've got 2 kids, and any other parents out there will know it's like I've got a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. That's a tough couple of ages to deal with at the same time, especially when the 2-year-old doesn't sleep. And I've got a full-time job making videos and so does my wife, and yeah, I want to be the best dad I could possibly be. That's the most important thing to me, and I think the best way I can do that is by treating that like I would do with a trick. Treat your children like the world's most impossible, like the impossible card trick, was it, whatever.
The trick that can't be explained.
Yeah,
the kid that can't be explained.
The dad that can't be explained. You just go to it, not because honestly, we don't know what we're doing with anything. We're all bluffing, and I realize quite how much I'm bluffing of being a magician. Every year for the past 25 years, I've been going to Blackpool, maybe longer. Every year, and I am blown away by how amazing people are, at our craft. And I used to have this, as I said, I bought this magic stall where I bought my first trick. I bought this magic stall from in Covent Garden with Lee Hathaway, a really good friend of mine, great magician, and we had this for 10 years, and that's when I really met a lot of the magic community and people. I made a lot of friends and I saw, wow, I thought I was good, but these guys, there are people. I'm always amazed by how amazing everybody is in our community, and I gravitate towards the nice ones. The nice ones. That's most important to me.
What are you doing here, Bob?
Well, I'm this far away from an off button, so I feel
yeah. But you see the resources, like things like YouTube and videos that the young people have. Like we were up at the Dublin Magic Society recently for a Christian Grace lecture, and there were some young magicians there. There's one young girl. She was fucking everyone up.
Christian Grace is I love him so much. He is not only, I think, one of the greatest minds of our time, he is one of the loveliest people I have ever met in my entire life.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got an eye bogey. Never mind. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, David. I'm so sorry.
No. Yeah, I was saying that it's just the young people have the resources with YouTube, but the magic sites that like weren't around even like 10, 15 years ago, that it's on the same level. So it's kind of, you can get immersed in it. While like for us, we'd get a book or a trick, maybe for Christmas or your birthday. And that's the only magic you're learning that year unless you hang out with other magicians. You can't just go on like playing.
What was your favorite book that you got?
I think there was, when I was really young, the Paul Zen and Street Magic book was like the one I was obsessed with.
Yeah, man. That's the first time I heard of eating. I'm pretty sure it was in that one. The carrot fish. That was in that book, wasn't it?
Yeah. That was it. I think it had the thumb. The thumb when you put you can replace your thumb with a bit of carrot and stuff like that. I think that was in there as well. And so you put needles into it. And then there was some just good because like I've more mentalist now, but I was always looking back now, gravitated towards mental magic as a kid, and there was some strong mental magic in that book as well, which is killer. But like that book I reread over and over again because I think it was a good transition from like the Marvin's Magic set type stuff or the Paul Daniel sets to something that you might see on TV, like the David Blaine specials and stuff. It was that sort of middle ground, which is brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
When his show came out, I loved that so much. And then there was Monkey Magic. That came after, didn't it?
Yeah.
Monkey Magic. That was great. Have you seen there's a new one that there's a new one Willman's doing? I think it's coming out on Netflix. And if I remember his post, I think it might be on the 1st of April.
I think it is, yeah. I think it's April Fool's
It's something about pranks and magic. I can't remember what.
I think it's like that. I think it's just called Pranks or Pranks Magic or something like that.
Oh, great. What a brilliant title.
So original. Hours in the boardroom.
It is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, look, I expect that's going to be amazing because it's I've seen Stuart McLeod is involved in it, who's
cool,
an old friend of mine, and I think he's amazing mind, and he's behind some of the best TV shows in magic. Stuart McLeod, for those people who don't know of Barry and Stuart. Amazing.
Yeah, I can't I love
wait.
all that stuff.
Their stuff was great too. Barry and Stuart early on. Brilliant.
Yeah.
For that stuff for you as well, like talking about the video side of things, we'd be killed if we didn't ask you about your sort of social media videos and that sort of stuff, and how you kind of got started with getting into that area and what it's like doing that as a job.
Okay, so I was. I'm trying to think what is the most useful for your audience version of this story, because I don't want it to. Okay, so look, basically, when I decided I wanted to stop acting and stop chasing this dream that I'd get a TV job here and a theatre job there, but then I'd be looking for the next one. And it never rolled into that thing where I was just, at peace, which is where I thought I would get to, and I just was being offered work without auditioning. When I realized I was chasing something, I thought, do you know what? I can do my own thing and be a magician. And that's what I'll do. And then I started to dream about what my goals would be as a magician. Working as a magician was something that I never had. Oh, where's he gone?
He dropped his back.
Welcome back. Working as a magician has never been, getting gigs has never been a problem. They've always just kind of come. That's been, but really that's never been the goal long term for me. I always wanted to have my own TV show, right? From 15, 20 years ago when I started doing this, I wanted to have my own magic TV show, and I didn't know what that was exactly, but I knew it wanted to be funny. I knew it wanted to involve characters or some sort of slapstick clown comedy, and I've always loved pranks. I had this prank shop, for 10 years, and so I spent my time since I was a kid. I've loved practical jokes, and I wondered if there was a way I could get everything into that, and so I came up with a bunch of treatments, and I took them to Andrew O'Connor, he saw something I did. I did a video that went viral back in the day, right at the start of all this, because I've got a problem with clicking fingers. Okay, by the way, this will all kind of meld together into a story. There's lots of pieces here. This is like a mad film. I've got a problem with clicking fingers, to make the magic happen. Because if you were a real magic guy, you wouldn't fucking click your fingers. I mean, you would do something that there'd be a moment. Either there'd be nothing, or there would be some sort of explosion of energy. And what is the one thing that we as humans do on nearly a daily basis that is such an uncontrollable, we have no control over it, and it's funny, and it gets attention, and it's focused, and it's a serious spasmodic explosion of energy, and that's a sneeze, right? Yeah. So I did this video where to make something happen, the thing would disappear like that. And whether it was sneezing on a bottle and the bottle would smash, or sneezing and a Rubik's Cube would fix, or a sneeze and a fish would come out my mouth. So I did this public. Anyway, so he saw that video, and he said we should do something along the lines of Mr. Sneeze as a little segment in a different show. And I was like, okay, this is my in. And then I poured out all the other ideas for this series of this character thing. And he put me in touch with this other guy that he works with, who's a really nice guy called Lee. And we put together something called, a sizzle reel, which then got taken by a company called Potato, which was like a TV production. Anyway, the point is, all of these ideas, I kept on doing this, getting these TV shows, which would get nearly made, and it kept on happening. And I'd get all these executives going, "Yes, this is great. This is really, really good," and I'd be so excited. And then they'd just not get made. And I'm like, oh, do you know what? This is much harder. And then I was working up at Blackpool. I was working on the Pro Mystic stall, selling, these electronic things, the best electronic things. And an old friend of mine that came to the Magic stall back in the day, Julius Dean. This is before he made a big name for himself. He came by, and I had been admiring him online when he still didn't really have much of a following, and I was like, wow, I admire not only what you're doing, but I admire your hustle, because no one else is doing this. And anyway, so I went out with him. I came up with some ideas for him, and he was like, oh, dude, do you want to come with me to Rome and we'll make this video? And so I basically consulted for him, and the video went super viral on Facebook. I'm talking like getting off 500 million views. And of course, back then, like nobody got those sort of views. Like now, I mean, that's not a big deal, but back then, nobody was getting that kind of views. And of course, it wasn't monetized back then, but I did immediately think, oh, do you know what? There is something here in the future. There is something here. I didn't know what it was, but I thought there is something great about this, because I can do my own thing. I can make whatever the fuck I like, so long as it is within the terms and condition of whatever social media platform that I'm posting on. So long as it's within that, I can do whatever I like, right? So brilliant. I decided to make an idea. I had 2 ideas in my head, which weren't really magic. One of them was a sort of magic trick. I might have it here, actually. Hang on. I've got this somewhere. Hang on. Can you cut this search now?
We just we'll talk over him, like, due to technical difficulties. We'll be right back.
I can't find it. But basically, I've got this snake that it's an extremely realistic snake, extremely realistic, and it's massive, like a proper python. I wish I had it to show you. It's somewhere. Anyway, when I press the button on the end of its nose, it hides in my palm, and then just suddenly goes like that and shoots out like this. And I had an idea for a compilation video, which is about 1.5 minutes long, for this, and I planned out everything in my head exactly how I wanted it, and I just needed to find the situations to do it in. And so I went out, and I thought, and with Julius's help back then, because he because of these videos that we were doing, he had amassed an amazing audience. He got to 1 million followers, or maybe, he was going a bit more than that even on Facebook. And back then, the share button was amazing. The share, if you could get share from a big page, you're away. So that was what I asked for payment for him. That's all I wanted. I just wanted him to click a button once, and that changed my life. Thank you, Julius. I love Julius. And he did that. He pressed that share button on this snake video, and overnight that video went, I think, over 100 million views overnight. I'd never seen it. And that's when I suddenly realized, right, this is my TV show. This is like X Factor doesn't get numbers like that. This is my TV show. And nobody can tell me what I can and can't do, so long as I'm within the things, within the terms and conditions of the platform. And I then the next thing, I had this fart video which I had in my head that I wanted to do for ages, in public, going up with a fart machine, and so then I did that, and then it just snowballed, and I started everything. Everything I posted started going crazy. And what was this, 10 years ago, 12 years ago? And then, and I started to build up the platforms. And then I was in an amazing position when as soon as these platforms started to get monetized, that I had a big audience right there at the start. And I remember a lot of people were saying to me, a lot of magicians were saying to me, "Oh my God, what are you doing? What are you doing this this silly shit online? You're a proper magician. You should be working." And I'm like, well, why? And then why? Number one, I'm loving this. This is exactly what I wanted to do. I'm literally doing my dream job right now. And it's boosting my profile. I'm charging more for gigs because people know who I am. When I go to these things, the ins at tables are much easier because people call you over because they're like, "Oh my God, I've seen your thing. Come and show us," which makes everything so much easier and so much more fun and welcoming. And then, and then of course, cut to like 3 years ago, you've got everybody saying, "I want to get into this. I wish I got into it back then. I don't know what to do." I'm like, okay, well. In fact, I'm having a lot of fun helping with people right now. In fact, I've just written a course that I'm going to be putting out soon. I haven't finished filming it yet, but I've written it, and just showing people exactly how to do it, because there's a way.
That's right.
And there's a way, and now it's all monetized, and there is ways to make an extremely good living, from doing it. And in a nutshell, I'll tell you now, that you will find like gurus and social media people that will tell you all these different things that you can do, like little tricks, and you want to, as soon as you post, come off the platform. Forget any of that, right? No, I don't care whether that works or not, because I can tell you definitively what works, and that is make good stuff. Make good stuff that people want to watch from the moment they see at the beginning and at the end, until all the way at the end. And for magicians, the thing that is very difficult for people to get out their head is the beginning bit, but the beginning bit and the end bit, which are the two bits that will kill your video if they're not done right. A magician will want, say a great magician will want to do a video, say he's doing a card trick. Not inherently going to be a great video off the bat. You have to be a little bit more visual, and you see a pack of cards there. A general person's probably going to go, "Seen it." In real life, we've had someone that goes, "Oh, I've seen this one."
It's like the one card trick that exists in the world.
Well, in real life, you have got a little bit of time there to convince them that they haven't, and you can. But online, you've got the time it takes you to put your finger on the screen to convince them. So you need to convince them immediately that they haven't seen this one before. So maybe don't start a video with the pack of cards. Could maybe start with something a little bit. Maybe start by dropping them or putting your hand into jelly and pulling out a pack of cards or something. But that bit at the beginning of a card trick where a magician might take them out, shuffle the cards, show that they're all different, offer them out in a nice, beautiful fan, and they take a card, right? First of all, taking them out of the box, well, get rid of the box, start without the box, right? Shuffling the cards, who cares? Who cares, right? Even if you have to prove it later, there are other ways that you can prove it later. In real life, yes, that might be important, but that is dead time. Who's going to watch someone shuffle a pack of cards? Unless it's absolutely beautiful and that's the point of your act, that's something different. Then showing that they're all different. Who is scrolling? And bear in mind, if that is your goal here, to have a video that gets maximum reach and then earns maximum dollar for that, if that is your goal, then you want to be appealing to the biggest audience possible, right? So if you're showing a pack of cards and you're saying, you see, they're all different, you're asking someone to check whether 52 cards are different and there's not a duplicate. I'll forget that. Scroll on, right? The moment they scroll on, your video dies, right? So get rid of that as well. In fact, get rid of the offering the card. Start the video with them finishing right, or even just the writing on a card. That's quite interesting. I mean, I know it's very boring to us because we see it all the time, but writing on a playing card, how about starting with that, giving it back? There you go. or name a card, perhaps pre-show it with them, like maybe force it on them before the video and then get them to name that card in the video. Now, of course, you've got the gorgeous dual reality there happening in the video. You apparently have just got them to name a card, which really, you kind of have. They're not stooges. They're not in on it. But what the point is, get into it. So with magicians, and I the amount of magicians that I've tried to explain this to, just like cut that. He's like, no, you need to show they're all different. Well, if you do that, your video is going to die, and they just can't. It's very difficult to explain to somebody that is used to real world. And then the other thing is, at the end of the video, that we are very, very indulgent, like very, very self-indulgent with our reactions, with the reactions, because we look at TV shows like David Blaine, where the star of the show is the audience, is the reaction. That's what it's all about. And for me, a lot. That's one reason I love magic, is the reactions. But if you linger on that reaction too much, or you just have too much of the thinking in it as well, people get it. People, they've seen a lot of magic now. People get it, and unless it's something extraordinary, no one's going to sit through someone going, wow, and because he had the thing there and now it's amazing. I'm bored. I've got it. Okay, she's amazed. Next. Mm-hmm. So get to the point. Do it quickly. Now there are an awful lot of nuances in that, but that is, if you can understand that and put that into practice, immediately your videos will fly. And I've seen that happen to so many people that I've helped with it. That's why I decided to make a course to help people out with it.
Neil, I have to ask you a question. Have you ever sneezed in real life and nothing appear, and then people just look disappointed around you?
Yeah, my wife does that, and so do my kids. Well, my eldest kid, yeah. Yeah, that has happened. That's funny.
Oh, nothing's happening. All right, we'll just go back to life.
Next time you sneeze, I always try and I love sneezes. Sneezes are so funny. Next time you sneeze, try and say something at exactly the same time as you sneeze, and start off with the word "bless you." Try and sneeze the word "bless you." There's something really, it kind of bless you. It kind of tickles exactly the bit that you want to tickle. Yeah,
that's what the course is. You're only there's no real social media course. Yeah. The course is how to sneeze.
The art of sneeze. Yeah. As you can feel it beginning to come, just go quick, name a word. There's someone name a word, and then you just sneeze it. It's fun to do.
That's really good. It's that sort of advice as well for social media is great, because it is something that you see more and more people trying to get into, because it is really, as you say, like TV's dying and that sort of stuff. Like, they're not getting the viewers they used to, but social media views are just going up and up and up. So it's that thing of people are booking people now based on what they've seen on social media. It's like, oh, I saw that guy on TikTok. We should get him for the corporate Christmas party rather than anything else. So yeah, it's definitely an important part.
Well, that's right. But also another thing that you're right. But another thing that people I'm finding more and more doing is, I've got a large audience, so that I can, when they book me for an event, they'll ask me to do that to entertain for an event. But also, I mean, it's not very appropriate for something like a wedding, which is, not about you. It's not the Neil Henry show. You're playing for the David and Kate show, but it's for a corporate event or something where they may be entertaining some clients. You can build into your fee as an add-on, or some promotion, or maybe some stories on your story to reach your audience, showing like, look how much money this company spent on this amazing party, and they love that shit. And if you can demonstrate that you have a big enough audience for that would actually make a difference to them, they will pay for that, because it's attention. That's what it is. It's attention. It's eyeballs, and everyone's after eyeballs.
Right now, I've got 49 followers on TikTok, so like that's big bucks right there.
Every one of them. I'm going to follow you right now.
Oh, it's going to be the big 5-0. I don't think I'll have to register for VAT too much now if I
Well, I
50
don't
followers.
What's your Instagram, Dave?
It's David Peace Magic. Yeah, David Peace Magic. Got it right there on the screen. Got to keep it.
There we go.
Yeah.
I already follow you, Steve. That's
wow.
Dave the dinosaur?
No, not quite.
That's a magician.
Oh my God, is that the invisible mini dinosaur that's going to call through someone's
Ah, yeah! Oh my God, if he's listening, there you go, Dave. That's your Dave Pierce Magic. Oh no, David Pierce. Anyone type
David Peace.
David
Peace.
There we go, David Peace. There you go. Tarot reader. That's exciting.
Yeah. Tarot card of the week on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube.
Do you do that in real life much?
Yeah, I do a lot. It's something I learned during the pandemic to pass the time, and I've been doing it at like corporate events and weddings and that sort of stuff. It's actually way more popular than I thought it would be. So
So how do you do it? Do you go round, or do you have a little table?
I have a little table set up at the situation people come in. Like I did one last Halloween for a corporate event, and I was booked for 2 hours, and they kept me there for 5.5 hours. And I was just like, but I did it, and I was fine at the end of it because I was just sitting there talking to people. And then I did a 2-hour table hopping gig the next week, and my back was fucked. My shoulders are killing me, and I was like, 2 hours of close-up magic is harder than 5 hours of tarot readings.
You should get a balsa wood table, right? So because everyone mightn't like tarot reading, somebody might just like the funny bit of it. So when you wake up after your ass being asleep for 5.5 hours, you just go straight through the table.
Yeah,
brilliant.
I need to get that stool prank.
I have that stool prank right here.
Yeah, just like at the end of it being like, God, that chair is really uncomfortable. And just like, walk away.
Yeah.
It's a great prank. It's very Tommy Cooper every time I see that prank every time.
Yeah. I've just made a compilation of it actually.
Oh, cool.
Oh, it's absolutely brilliant. But we've just crossed the hour mark, which that signifies time for our section, which we call the good, the bad, and the ugly, which is where we ask our guests to tell us a story about a performance that might have started off well and then slowly went downhill through the stages. We've all had that one time a trick didn't go well.
I've got two. I've got I'll tell this one. I mentioned already that I do a thing in my show where I steal someone's watch, and right at the start, in the hellos, and I'll steal the watch and I'll chuck it in my left jacket pocket. Is if I'm doing this and the thing, I will line with a little piece of wrapping paper which has sticky around the outsides, and I've got a little dispenser that I made. So after that one, I can just go and line a new pocket. Okay. And I'll nick the watch. And all I do is I drop it in there. And when I'm ready, I just scrunch it up and it seals itself like it's wrapped. Okay. And I was doing a gig. I can't remember how long ago this was. Oh, fuck. This is really good. I've never told anyone this in public. So this is very cringy. I was doing a gig it was a Christmas party for the I don't know what they're called, the CEOs, the heads, the chief, the tops of HSBC, the bank. Mm-hmm. And they'd hired me to this gorgeous little Mayfair place, which wasn't even a club. I don't know what it was. It was just like, it was so hidden away. It was nothing. It was very dark. And there was like 10 of them there. And all the men were sitting around this table. And I thought, and the ladies were just standing up. It was like a disco where all the men were there and all the ladies there. Clearly the ladies were with the men, but they were just separated. And the men were sitting there with computers and notebooks. They were working at the table. I was like, wow, let's liven them up immediately. So I went up to go and do some magic with them. And just before I got to them, the lady that booked me for the party said, no, don't worry about them. They're fine. They've got you to entertain their wives. So I was like, okay, so let's do that. And so I went over to the wives, and I was booked for 2 hours. Okay. And I got up to these. Of course, there's only like, I don't know, a large handful of ladies there, and they stand around in a big circle. I'm like, oh shit! So I'm going to be performing to them all right now, and you know that feeling of, oh fuck, 2 hours, and we're doing it to you all, are we? So, oh no, okay. Are you sure? Should we split? Why don't we split into two and do the? No, okay, all right, we're doing. So I thought, right, well, let's go for this. And I immediately saw the watch I was going to steal. I was like, oh, brilliant. And it was this beautiful, very, very tall lady. And she had the most extraordinary dress on. It was very like, it was like, I don't know what's the word, like very modelly, French catwalky type thing.
Yeah.
But she had I don't know if you guys do watch steals, but for me, my dream watch is just a nice, thin lady's buckle strap, and you can just like ping that off in 2 seconds. And she had just the fella, and I was like, right, that's mine. So I went up and met her first, and I went up and I arranged it so she was exactly on my left, so I could just nick it. And as I'm turning to someone over there, I could just pop that in my pocket. And so that's what I did, and I nicked it, came off easy, slipped it off and dropped it in, and I'm carried on doing my show. And right at the very end, or the end of a section, I was going to pull out this thing and say, oh, there's a little present, thanks for being. And I'm always getting excited, because once that watch is in there, it doesn't matter what happens, because I know I've got a killer right here, right? And okay, I know anyone who watch steals knows you do get caught sometimes. There's gonna be a time you get, no, it doesn't matter how good you are, you're gonna get caught. But that time I didn't. Like, she didn't see. No, I said nothing. There was nothing that gave away that anyone saw. They did. And so I carry on doing my show. And as I'm doing little tricks, all of my jokes are going really well, like too well. Like, and I'm like, well, now you're being kind with your laughing. This is too much laughing at me. But you know, I'll take it. Thank you. This is nice. Then they start laughing when I'm not doing jokes. And I was like, oh, is it my face? Am I just being like, am I having a funny day? And then they started laughing when I'm not doing anything at all, when I'm shuffling, and I'm like, oh shit, something's going wrong. Because as I'm doing it, as I'm doing these tricks, I'm beginning to, you know, wrap up this thing in my pocket. Every so often I'll pop my hand in my pocket and just wrap it up, and you know, maybe it's not quite got in properly, and it becomes apparent. I suddenly realize I'm looking at this girl who I stole the watch from. She's wearing much less clothes than she was wearing before. Like, it's not yet revealing, but like, I'm sure she had long sleeves on, and I'm sure it wasn't that low cut. And what that watch was, right? I suddenly realized what's happened. That watch, the strap, was the end of her dress, right? I had undone it, and as I was wrapping it into my pocket, I was slowly, and they were all watching it happen, and no one was telling me, slowly unraveling and putting her dress in my pocket in front of her, and it's just coming down, and they're all just letting it happen and watching me just undress this lady in front of them. Oh, it was an amazing moment.
Jesus.
Well, if there was ever just a roll with the punches, act on the moment, you know, go with what you get. That's it.
There was nothing I could do apart from fall about laughing. I just was so like blown over by how amazing that moment was. I couldn't stop.
That's absolutely brilliant.
Card to pocket is so amateur, man. 2025 Blackpool dress to pocket, 100%. There it is.
Dress to pocket. It's amazing.
It's like it's a slow change act. It's just like
slow change. Amazing.
Oh,
that's one of those routines where you just can't get out of it. It's just like, well, there's your dress back.
Oh, no way getting out of that. And and I'd like to see what that was. I wish I could have watched it.
Yeah,
I bet that would have been funny and like, what were they thinking? Like, what is going on there? Like your dress is like, and she's like, yeah, I know. Just don't say anything.
Your dress is going into his pocket.
On their side.
It's so crazy, yeah.
Oh, that's I think that's one of my favorite good, bad, and the uglies that we've had. Definitely. Dress the pocket. It's one of the ones that's going. But yeah, I feel like we've only scratched the surface and we've been going so long. So we'll definitely have to have a part 2 of this at some point.
As soon as this finishes, I've got to go and be a parent to kids that are asleep. So I'm fine, man. You carry on.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we were talking about with things that you're doing as well with the course. Do you have any idea when that course will be out for people to be able to pick it up and that sort of things?
Well, it was going to be Christmas, so that should give you an idea of how imminent it is. I would before summer. How about that?
Yeah.
If anyone's listening, and you said this is going out next week, yeah?
Yeah.
If anyone's listening, and they're like, "Shit, help me!" Get in touch with me, Daniil Henry, online, and I'll help you out.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be really good because I do think it's one of those things that everyone wants to do it and just get videos up and like build up that thing. But even speaking from experience, and that's the stuff that me and Steve talk about all the time about how to make the videos better, how to get it going. And how do you find working with different the different platforms? Do you find that different things go viral better on something stuff goes better on TikTok, stuff on Instagram versus Facebook? And that sort of thing?
It's a very interesting question, David, because the answer is yes, they are different, but they are constantly changing. And the easiest and quickest way that I could give anyone some actual valuable advice that you will use to navigate your way through the differences in the platforms and to get the best out of each platform is and also to elevate any video in any niche to what I would call viral video is to understand this, that the number one important thing for a video to go viral is your average watch time. I don't care what anyone says. The number one thing is your average watch time and your click-through rate as well, which is how many people click on that video or how many people. Some platforms don't have clicking on, so but that's not number one. So your average watch time, because that at the end of the day is what the platforms are after. They're after you. They're after your eyeballs because they're selling washing powder at the end of the day. It's attention. So if you can give their platform attention, they're going to keep you and they're going to push you and they're going to, right? So that's the number one thing to understand. Now, you've got to understand how to keep their attention. And this is how I do it and how I have done it. And this is how I have done it on everything. And this is how I built my platforms and how I've crafted techniques to be able to make consistent viral content. I'll say what I did on the course. I will give away actual things that I've discovered by doing this,
absolutely.
But which is the gems. But so let's take Instagram. Okay, this is what you do. You've got to use Instagram with two heads on, right? Next time you do this, just do it for half an hour. This half an hour, because at the end of the day, you're on Instagram like scrolling and messing around for more than half an hour anyway, so you might as well be doing this. So go on Instagram and just scroll through, and the head that is scrolling through, it's quite tricky to do this, but you want to be observing yourself scrolling, right? So as you scroll, mindlessly scrolling like a zombie, like we all do, when you stop and watch something without affecting the part of you that is stopping and watching something, mentally make a very, very clear note or even write down What exactly stopped you? Was it a visual thing? Are you listening without the sound on? 75% of people don't listen with sound on. Bear that in mind. Is it a visual thing? Is it a topic? Is it somebody? Is it a celebrity? Is it what is it? Is it a caption? Is it a comment that you saw that got your attention? What stopped you, and what did you do? Okay, so if you stopped and you started watching the video, when did you stop watching it? Why? What was what? Let's say, oh look, you're scrolling through magic trick. Magic, cool. You're watching magic. Now don't keep watching it. The hard bit is to don't keep watching it just because you're being this observer and you're playing this game. If you get bored, keep scrolling, but work out what made you scroll. And I bet you it will be because someone's going, look, all the cards are different, bored, right? I bet you it's that. Right?
Yeah.
You'll laugh when that happens. You'll go, he was right. And but so
it was a reason I skipped the video yesterday.
Did you what? Say again?
That was the reason I skipped a magic video that I saw yesterday. The build-up was so long. I was like, I know what this trick is, and I'm still like, what the fuck? And then I was like, why am I still watching it? And I was like, it'll get better. It didn't get better.
Yeah, but you see, you thought that because you're a magician, and magic is your passion, Steve, right?
Sure.
But the majority of people, you've got to remember that nobody gives a shit. They're all on the toilet. They're all bored. They're all trying to escape their lives. They don't give a shit. They're not sticking around. Oh, this will get better. I tell you what will get better. Instagram will get better if I keep scrolling and find something that grabs my dopamine levels better, right?
Sure.
So what you're doing, and then if you comment on the video, if you like the video, what made your finger double click it? That's quite a commitment if you think about it. It's quite a commitment. Sometimes when videos go hugely viral and you see these millions of likes on it, I'm like, wow, that is a lot of commitment that people did. What, over 1 million people decided that they would lift their finger up a centimeter and double click the video. That's quite an achievement, right? But what
I had to do it though to lock in the color that I was thinking of. I have to double tap the screen to lock that. So
that's great. That's great. You know, whatever.
It doesn't work otherwise.
But but if you commented, what made you comment? That's another great thing. Like, is it a question in the captions? Normally, questions in captions don't get people to answer. I'll tell you what does get people to answer: telling them what the answer is. Don't say, "What's your favorite color?" What's your favorite color? Black or white? You tell them. Oh, well, now I'm helping you out here because you obviously need to know whether black or white. You know, tell them what the answer. Tell them what they're supposed to write in the question. You know, but what I'm saying is just really be really aware of everything you do, and when you do that on a regular basis, when you then come to make your video, you will be so informed as to make, and you will then make something that you can then look back at afterwards and go, I always do something called the scroll test. I've got a bunch of videos that I have in a folder on my phone. If I'm not sure whether a video is right or what, people are going to watch that, I chuck this in a random place in this video, and I will use these videos as a scroll test, and I'll scroll through, and I imagine I just see my one. I always do it with the sound off, by the way. I scroll through, and when I see my one, does it stop me? Do I keep watching? It's a very hard thing to be objective about your own videos, but if you really know and you've really done that exercise of watching other people's content from a genuinely objective point of view and see why I am watching that, or why, more importantly, why am I not watching that? Because that's what's useful to know. What is shit? Who cares what's good? You are good. You're like, I'm going to say right now, most of the people that are watching this, or if they have a passion about doing this, you are brilliant. Just get rid of what is shit and let your brilliance shine. And when you know what your shit is, or what shit is on that platform, it's very easy to strip it off. So that you can work that out yourself, or there's all sorts of things that I've worked out by doing that.
It's cool that you mentioned that you put your video in a kind of drawer, because there's a thing that they do in music as well, where they they go and they listen, they'll get a master track, but they go out and they'll stick the CD or the tape or whatever into a car stereo to get that natural sound, like what you'd hear if you heard it on the radio. And it's the same kind of thing. And I remember James Hetfield talked about it before, saying they used to take masters, stick them into like the tape deck in a Camaro, and just see, does this play as good as it did inside the studio, kind of thing. And if it does, that's
so
how.
at the end of the day, most people aren't going to be listening to that track on beautiful Alesis monitor stereo speakers. You know, they're going to be listening to it.
Well, my favorite one to get people to comment as well is the intentional mistake that you see. I saw one the other day of a t-shirt printing company doing the Friends quote of Y-O-U-R is your, and then Y-O-U apostrophe R-E is you are, but they did them wrong. And that was like all the comments were like, I can't believe you did it wrong.
I am guilty of using that one. I've done that a few times. I did one where I was in Africa with Julius. Actually, we were filming a magic compilation, and I was doing it to somebody, I was doing it to a policeman out there, and I did an arrow towards the policeman and put in big letters police, spelled Polise, and and the other one was I was doing one with a can of Coke, and I subtitled it. I said, choose the can of Sprite or the can of Coke, I said. And I spelt Coke, K-O-C-E. Oh, the comments go wild. but then this then throws up something else, right? This is a whole nother ball of worms. Is that the kind of comments you want, right? Because in the end, now I've been doing this for a very long time. And in fact, I've just catalogued my videos. I've done nearly 3,000 long form videos over these years, and it's in a lot of ways it has weathered me, right? I've said this wrong with these videos. When the videos go really, really viral, a lot of the time they go viral for the wrong reasons. They go viral because of the hate. Maybe it's hate towards you. 9 times out of 10, it's not hate towards you. It's hate towards perhaps something that somebody else has said in the comments. Now you can engineer that, and it's quite sneaky, and it works, but you must never do that to the detriment of someone else's mental health online. And it's something that I'm really, really concerned about for my children and the younger generation online is just people's mental health online. And I'm not talking about, people wanting to look the best because of Instagram pictures. I'm talking about people saying nasty shit to each other online. And I see people say, I do try to read through my comments. In fact, I'm not reading the comments. I'm replying to them. And you see horrible things, whether it's be to you or to other people, it doesn't matter. It is all trolls, and we all know deep down that these people are sad and they're on their own and they're sitting behind a keyboard and they're safe there. And we also, if you've got an ounce of a brain cell there, you realize that actually that you physically cannot give hate to somebody that is not doing as well as you. You can only spew that kind of vitriol to people that are doing better than you. That is the only thing. And when you realize that, there is a sort of pity that comes there, and you feel sorry for these people. But when you don't see that, and if you were to take these hate comments personally, it can be very anxious. The amount of people I've seen that have serious anxiety about posting anything online, they might be fantastic, but they don't want to do it because they don't want to go with the thing. It's taken me a long time to get over that, and I realize what it is. And now it doesn't bother me because I don't, I've got people that look and do my comments for me. And sometimes I will do it, but I won't. Something that Gary V said that I take, I think is really, 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 really important for people to realize is that he said, don't listen to the hate, but don't listen to the love. Because if you listen to the love, and you go, oh wow, they think I'm really good. Well, if you're going to listen to that love, better fucking listen to that hate as well, because they mean it just as much as they do, you know.
Mhm.
I mean, not completely like that. All I'm saying is, you just take this shit with a pinch of salt. You know, if you're going in to do this, you know, it is a relatively new game where people can be that connected to the creator of some art or entertainment on screen. And I think there's still, I think us as a society is still working out the creases of doing that. And I think you do need a thick skin and camaraderie and and collaboration with other creators is a great way to be able to weather the storm and understand that, oh, okay, cool, this is just
there was definitely more kind of angry, crazy, jealous bastards during the pandemic, though. I mean, they all came out under work.
Crazy, isn't it? Absolutely crazy.
The first lockdown, I was like, where did all these cunts come from?
I know.
No, nothing else to do.
What about me?
Say again.
I was just saying it was bad. When everyone was just, I know obviously we were all doing magic for a long time online and doing other stuff or whatever, but it was like as soon as people were like had like free time, they're like, oh, now I realized, okay, I don't like him.
Yeah.
I remember someone being like, "Oh, nice receding hairline," and I was like, "Receding? It's fucking gone." Yeah, you're about 2 years too late.
No, I know. Well, look, I urge anyone who does this, who is anxious about it, to talk to people and to I mean, it's easy to. I keep on. The reason why I'm umming and ahhing is I keep on finding my head about to say and advise people to not take it personally. That's easier said than done.
Yeah, 100%.
But don't, because it isn't personal. It is literally meaningless. Don't.
It's not much different than like a comedian being heckled, really, because you know it's not personal either. They just want to be part of the show, or they don't have the talent to be on stage, so they're going to try to squeeze that little bit of talent, you know, whatever they have, to kind of knock you off your pedestal. It's just people, you know.
Yeah.
Did you hear James Astor's story of that, about being heckled? He was doing a show in Sweden, and an English guy shouted out something at him, heckling him, and he was like, "Did you travel over here to see the show and then heckle me?" He was like, "Yeah." And it was a few months later, he was doing the show in Manchester, and he heard someone shout, "You were better in Sweden." And then he heard the same guy heckle him in Toronto. In the same tour, a guy went to 3 of his shows and heckled him each time.
That's right. I mean, he didn't have a comeback for it, but it's like, I mean, you can't. I mean, that's just amazing, the commitment that has done.
That's incredible.
I have a rule, and I am ruthless with this rule. And this is so there's a part in the course all about mental health online, because I think it's an extremely important issue. You know, extremely important. And I have a rule, and I live by this rule like so strictly. If anything online gives me anxiety or throws up negative emotions, I don't give a fuck whether they're a close friend of mine, a colleague. I don't care if it's my family. I don't care who it is. And let's just be clear, you know, I love everyone. I don't have any enemies, you know. But if something online is, if for any reason has given up these negative emotions in me, immediately that second, block, delete. I'll never think about them again. They're dead to me. That's it. Immediate, gone. Right? I will block immediately, and I'll never think about it again. And that is the best thing you can do.
Yeah, definitely. You don't want to be seeing it multiple times. It's just like, no,
my job is this little thing here, is a phone and this computer. I edit on here, I film on here, and I deal with the posts on here, right? I don't. Why would you tolerate going into workplace, wherever it is, why would you tolerate going into a workplace with people as you walk in the door going, "Oh, hello, Baldy," what? Actually, do you know what? I think that's quite funny when some people say that to me. Please, everybody, feel free to take piss out my bald head anytime you like. I find it funny myself, but whatever. Just abuse towards people just wouldn't happen. You wouldn't tolerate it. You would either report them or get rid of them, or you'd leave yourself. And the same online, if something's causing me a negative energy, bye, and I will never ever think of them again, and I'll never unblock them either.
It's the best way to do it. It's like your social media world is your world at the end of the day. It's like you can choose to let that stuff in or not, and it's just like, yeah, block. Thanks again.
It's that thing we were saying about I'll be at this corner at this time. If you want to say anything, I'll be there. And we're saying, just cream pie the bastard and then put it on your social media.
Yeah, you could do, and I would love to. I'd love to, but I don't. My job.
There's no point.
My life, everything in my life. I guess the most important thing for me, much to the detriment of my wife, is I think my most important thing in my life is laughter. Like that is at the center of everything I do, is laughter. And I was going to say happiness, but I don't mean that. I mean laughter, and whether that's other people laughing or myself laughing. As I'm saying this, I'm also very aware of the fact that I've been rather serious in this interview.
Not laughing.
But
wait, he's going to sneeze a fish. It's going to happen.
If the reason why I will just not entertain any of that negative stuff in my life is because it affects everything. It's a little cancer, negative shit, and it will affect any sort of happiness. And it's happened to me in the past where I have got myself into a place where I was so worried, and then you just realize that's just eating up my life. And now I won't let myself get there anymore. I have got safety measures in place to make sure that doesn't happen to me, and I will hope that doesn't happen to anyone else as well, because it's horrible. There's an awful lot of more important things for people. If people want to be worrying about something, there's a lot more important things for people to be worrying about.
I think
the palace is about to go on fire, but that guy said it'd be comment.
And I think it was like trying to heckle Shakespeare or something, and be like, I'm going home to write him a letter, and you get out your feather, and you're like, Shakespeare's a dick, and a pigeon and all this effort, stop.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, move on,
Yeah. But yeah, that's I think, but on a positive side, I guess, there might be people on here. I don't know, maybe there won't be, but if there are people on here listening to this that have, on a slightly different note, if there are people that are magicians that have been listening to the stuff we've been talking about and the stuff I've been saying and are still like online stuff. Well, let me say this. One of the great things about online and content creating as a genre itself, one of the biggest things about it is its entertainment, particularly with the emphasis on visual, interesting entertainments with a payoff at the end. If you were to describe a perfect video in any niche on social media, it kind of plays a bit like describing a magic trick. Magic is so perfect. It's so perfect from social media. A good routine has personality. It has a hook. It has a story, perhaps, and a payoff, which is surprising, exciting, and if you're a magician and you've not tried this yet, I urge you to, because it is a great place for us to entertain, and it is increasingly I'm kind of sounding like the sort of me that I would have sounded like 7 years ago saying this to people. I don't know whether there is anyone out there that needs convincing anymore. I think we all know, but if you haven't tried, then do, because it is so much fun, and if you get it right, it can be extremely, extremely lucrative.
I always like to think of there's Sean Cannell who does some stuff on YouTube and social media online. He has a couple of quotes that I always listen to. Is that like the worst case scenario is nobody sees it, but then nobody knows it exists. So it's like
worst case scenario.
Yeah, worst case scenario, nobody knows you failed. Yeah, just
That's
keep
amazing.
going. And the other one is Sean Cannell.
Okay.
He's an American guy in Vegas. He does a lot of stuff on like camera reviews and stuff like that as well. But he also talked about the thing is that like it's better to be done than perfect, and like I think that's what a lot of people like. They want their first videos to just be like, oh, and like it's that first magic show we all wrote in our heads and took 6 years to actually do. And it's like just go do it, and you can get better over time. You know?
Do you know that is so insightful, and that reminds me. Do you want me to shut up now, or
no, you're good.
No, good.
Okay. That is so insightful, because this was before I was doing stuff live. I did a show. Oh my God, another cringy story coming up. There's this. In order to tee this up, I do have to say something that I did was so cringy. I used to do, when I was, I don't know, 18, 19, I used to do the close-up magic at a bar called Madame Jojo's in Soho in London. I used to do it once every week, and that was fun. I used to get a lot of gigs from there by giving out business cards to businessmen and stuff. And there was one night, there was a drag show that I used to do the close-up round the crowd in between the acts. And on the stage there was a drag show, and the main drag lady was ill, and I don't know what the thing. Please don't cancel me.
The drag queen.
The drag queen said, would I come and do it? And I was like, yeah, I'll come and do something on the stage. Are you sure? Like, with no, apart from acting experience on the stage, I'd not done magic, let alone comparing, which is actually, comparing is something that I adore doing now. I do it a lot, but back then I had no idea. And I said, yeah, I'll come and do that. Sure. Of course, it's a cutthroat audience. I don't know if you ever went to Madame Jojo's back in those days. You had to be good, doing close-ups one thing, getting on the stage and trying to be funny. Yeah. I got on stage and oh my God, I said I just opened with the floating rose. I mean, really, not really. I mean, I did it well, but it's a silent thing and not really. I've done this thing, reached into the fire, pulled out the rose, gave it to someone. Little smatter of a thing. Who the fuck's this on the stage? And then I was going to do Bill in Lemon. Now I've got a funny routine for the Bill in Lemon, and but of course, to do it, you need a banknote. You need someone to give you a bill. And I had no experience of doing this, on stage. I tried to get someone. I said, "Oh, this is horrible. No one would do it. Anyone? Is anyone a banknote? Just a 5, 10. You will get it back. Oh God, you will. Anyone? No. Anyone? And someone at the back, someone in the dark, shouted, "Oh, fuck off!" like that. Oh my God, and my heart died a little bit on the stage. And oh no, I went. Oh no, please be nice. Oh my God, those two words haunt me for the rest of my life. Anyway, I came off the stage so humiliated, I vowed to myself, I will never, ever get on the stage ever again. And it really, really affected me. I didn't get on the stage again until I was 28. That's 10 years later or so after that. And that was only because I was doing a play at the King's Head Theatre in Islington, and the lady who owned the theatre was like, "Oh shit, we're gonna have to close the theatre because we run out of money." I was like, "Oh, I'll do a show for you. Give me a show. I'll do it, and all the proceeds will go to your theatre. We'll raise the money. Don't worry about it." She was like, "Oh, brilliant. Will you?" I said, "Yeah, I'll get a magic show together." And because I just made myself, and I never did it because I was like, I never want to get on a stage until I'm absolutely fucking ready. And everything has to be perfect. And of course, it never is going to be perfect. And if you're making video, it's never going to be a perfect video. You have, anyways, she made me get on that because I was like, well, I'm not doing it for me. I'm raising money for a theatre now. So this is way more important than me. And so I put together this show. Turned out to be an absolute banger of a show, but again, I wasn't doing it for me, but that gave me the confidence to then, and then I started doing shows all the time, and then I became the compere at Madame Jojo's, the full-time compere, and then I went up to Edinburgh Festival, and I would do. Once you do that first one. Overcoming fears is something so important, isn't it, guys? Like,
Yeah,
I had from the very first year of Britain's Got Talent, I had people that they have these scouts. I'm sure you guys have had these scouts, and they come out. You want to audition this year, and we'll make sure you get through to the first round, or we'll make sure you get to see the judges, or at least be on the show, or whatever. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do that. In America, they jump at the chance of going on. What? This kind of audience? Of course I will. But over here, you're like, oh, cringe. You don't want to do that. You don't want to. I'm a proper magician, And every year this would be the same. I'll be like, oh no, these guys. Oh, get away! Don't ask me again. And then I can't remember how old I was. Maybe 36, 35, and my agent called me up and said, I've got the Britain's Got Talent people on the. I was like, no, we don't do that. We don't. That's not me. That's not me. And he said to me, "What? Why? You chicken? You scared?" And I was like, "Oh fuck! That's why I'm saying no. I'm saying no because I'm scared. That's why I was saying no. So I was just fucking scared to do it." And as soon as I realized that, I kind of went, "Oh no! Now I actually have to do it." And at the time, I was doing a trick where that I actually created with a friend. It was in part of a stage show I was doing called Mind Squirm, and I ate a can of alphabet spaghetti and then regurgitated a named word on a piece of string. It was like my take on the needle. I did the needles trick once, and it wasn't right for me, but I then tried it with that, and it was like, oh, that's a bit more me. And I did it to my wife to propose to her. She was in the audience, and I got up on the stage and said, "Marry me." Someone in the comments said she should have regurgitated, "Maybe we should see other people." I did this. I did that. I had a trick that was mine. I had perfected it over thousands of performances up in Edinburgh and touring it. And I was like, there's not really any excuses. I've got the perfect thing. I know exactly what I'm doing. It's a great trick. Fuck it, should I just do it? And I was so scared. Oh my God, guys, I was so scared. I got there to the Palladium, and then you get out on the stage, and by this time in my career, I had done hundreds, maybe thousands of shows in front of enormous crowds. So crowds and telly didn't scare me. You get on the stage and you see four of the most famous people in the country there, Simon Cowell, and they're all four of them there they're not in the audience, they're on the stage, brighter lit than you are, staring at you. And their whole purpose of being is to judge you, people say to you, "Oh, no one's judging." They are. That's what they're doing. They're judging. In fact, they've got they're called judges. That's what they are. They're judges.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying. And I was very, very, very afraid that this could be the end of my career. You know, even though I knew exactly what I was doing, but I then I got through it. They gave me the 4 yeses. They gave me Simon Cowell said that I made him believe in magic and amazing things to say. I went off stage. And I don't care that I wasn't a finalist or honestly, from the bottom of my heart, that experience of coming off the stage and overcoming my fear of doing that I had feared doing without knowing it for so many years. And then I walk up the stage having just done that. I felt like I could do anything at all. You could have put me in front of any audience. I would have done anything. And so, yeah, to do something that scares you. Do something that scares you.
Because I did Ireland's Got Talent when we'd one season of that before it got cancelled. And it was, again, that thing of like the fear of failure and that sort of stuff. But like, I never actually aired, but I haven't told the story, so I might as well.
Do it.
But it was I went on. I had an act set up a thing, and I was in the thing, and it was Jason Byrne, the comedian, was there, and Louis Walsh, a few other people. Denise Van Outen was there, so they asked me to perform for her. So I was like, cool, grand. I was doing a mind reading thing using a Sven pad, and then I had any card, any number that matched my tattoo. So I was like, yeah, that's grand, can do that, no bother. Did the routine, and then all the judges loved it, and then Jason Byrne went, well, like, I don't get it, you just forced the things. And I was like, no, I didn't. And I was like, he was like, you used the force. And I was like, I didn't use the force. Because I was like, this isn't fucking Penn and Teller Fool Us. Like, go fuck yourself. So I was just like, yeah. And I'd read the contract previously where it said in the contract that the judges will not intentionally reveal your trick. So then afterwards, I didn't care because I got off stage and was like, I got through. Like, I got the yeses stuff, got through. And then emailed them after being like, will that, if it is aired, will that be edited out considering the contract states your trick will not be revealed? And they never replied, and the only shots of me are like talking to people backstage. And I was like, that's better. But I literally just stood on stage because I was like, I didn't force it. So I was like, why are you going to do that?
Really yeah. Wow. Maybe I don't know why I'm trying to find a way to see his point of view, but maybe he just did that not realizing that literally that is the one thing that you just I
think he's got a little bit of magic knowledge and stuff. And then I think they were trying to get a good TV because all the judges started arguing then and all that sort of stuff of like, oh, if it's that easy, you do it. He's like, oh, I can't do it, blah 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 and stuff. But I was just like,
oh man,
I was like, I read the contract, so I'm just gonna be like, don't fucking do it. But to me, it was more about the experience of doing it than anything else. Like that's what it's about.
Very scary.
I was nervous going to it. The wait around backstage was fucking killer because you're there all day, like, and you're waiting and that sort of stuff. So it's just mad. And then you walk out on that stage and you just see the people there, and you're like, oh fuck, this is real.
Who was on before you? What happened before you? What did you have to follow?
I think it was the dog act was on before me, from what I can remember. Yeah, and then like two people before me got buzzed off. So I was like I heard the buzzers go off. I was like a few people so you hear that and you're like, holy shit.
Work.
Yeah. I was so tempted because I was performing at the table and the golden buzzer was right there in front of me. I was like, I wonder what would happen if I just pressed it. Like, what are they gonna do?
They clap.
So I mind going for it, but I didn't actually press it.
That'd be great.
The guy that was on before me was a dog act as well, and the dog genuinely, and I think it was aired, although I don't think it was on before me on telly. The guy that was on before was a dog, and the dog for real did a shit in David Wallings's shoe. Actually did.
Wow.
And I don't think that was the act. I mean, I kind of imagine that would be the act, but
nice.
I mean, follow that. I mean, that's amazing.
There was a parrot backstage the whole time I was there, and they were worried about keeping the parrot had to be kept wet throughout the whole thing, and they were told that like they'll be on first because of the bird, but they didn't. They were there all day with this parrot. I remember it was freaking out, and then I saw the audition. The parrot just started flying around the room, and they didn't do anything. But I was like, you can't treat the parrot that way backstage. You're like just having us cooped up with all the rest of us.
Oh wow!
Imagine if you had walked out and David Williams is there, like trying to clean off his shoe, and be like, "So I'm a magician. So David, if you could just join me on stage and take off your shoe." And as he's walking up, you just like, "Oh, your pants."
See, that would have been great. If I was less scared. Because that's what interesting. Because now we can go full loop, right? Because that's what happened. Because I was so scared. I had an act that I knew like the back of my hand, right? I had a script. I knew what I was saying, very confident about what I was doing. But because I was so frightened, my body went, okay, let's fall back and just do what I know. Just do what I know. I'll get through this. Yeah. Whereas if I had just found a way, which now I can,
of course.
Been through that fear and I've overcome that. But if I had got through that fear and had relaxed and had been in the present, lines like that would have come up. You know,
of course,
that's right. That sort of stuff only comes up when you are in the moment and you're not. When fear, of course, fear is negative. We're negative. All of this whole chat is basically the same shit. Like,
Fear of failure kills you.
Be here right now and don't worry about anything. There you go.
My biggest thing, they were like, "You've 2 minutes, you've 2 minutes," and I was like, "Cool." And then I was like, super nervous. Walked out on stage, started into the thing. I was like, I fucking love performing. This is great. I think I was out there for like 5 minutes as well, which is probably another reason they couldn't hear my thing because I like took my fucking time. My favorite quote from the whole thing was Denise Van Houten said, "I have the most beautiful eyes." So I was like,
well, David, you have got lovely eyes.
Thank you very much.
There you go.
I was like, I'll just put that on my website now, and that's all I need.
Great eyes for a podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. Eyes for a podcast. That should be
faces for a podcast is all we need. But yeah, it's getting through it. And I think with that, we've been going nearly 2 hours now, so I think we'll let everyone go free and run wild.
I'll tell you one funny thing.
Thanks so much for coming on and giving us all this time. It's been amazing.
Thank you for having me. It's been really nice chatting.
No, it was great. It was brilliant to have you on, man. It was really, really good. I was just going to say there, I have a Jason Byrne thing really quickly, just to follow on from Dave. Back in 2018, we met him backstage at Electric Picnic, which is like a music and rock festival, a comedy festival in Ireland. And the guy who was one of the promoters introduced me to him, and he was like, "Oh, this is Steve. He's a magician." And he looked me up and down and he went, "Oh, you look like a magician." And I was like, "Oh, that's weird because you look like you should be funny." He wasn't impressed. That's like
that's so good. And if that's not a reason to like the video and subscribe, I don't know what is. You know,
absolutely,
we're learning. But thanks so much, everyone, and thanks Neil again. And make sure to follow the Neil Henry online everywhere if you're not already doing so. We were trying to help him get his social media off the ground. You know, he's trying his best. And
trying my best.
Yeah. We'll give you the Deceive reality boost now, and this podcast will change your life. So,
Dave, you got an extra follower.
I'm going great. That's the reason we do the podcast. I get one extra follower every week, and I'm going to get to 1 million before I die. Thanks so much, everyone.
It's been a pleasure.
And we'll see you all again next.